Hello, everyone. I actually managed to get off of work early today, so it's nice. The sun is still shining outside of my house, and managed to have a nice, safe bike ride home. Pretty good. It's nice to get off early for a change. So, today I'm going to discuss something that is primarily for my overachievers who work for organizations that like to exploit them, right? And this is very specific, so I want to lay down some ground rules first. First thing I want to say is if you work in an organization that recognizes its people and cherishes its people for their contributions and their hard work, value it and give them your all. Always take the opportunities to grow and evolve and become better and appreciate that, because a lot of companies don't offer that. So if you are one of those people who legitimately gives it your all, but still, you barely get the job done, keep giving it your all. Like, work hard, right? Because, if you're barely getting the job done, then you got a lot more work to do, right? So this is specifically for individuals who work for organizations where they are doing tremendously more than all their peers around them, right? But getting no recognition, no promotion opportunities, no recognition, no pay raises, no awards, nothing, just more work, right? We reward you by giving you more work and expecting you to do more and paying you the same as your peers, effectively punishing you for being a hard worker, right? So I have personally worked for many organizations like this. Many. And I say many, right? And this ends up happening for a number of reasons, right? I've worked in organizations where the whole team is like dynamite, but the bosses are garbage. Like, the bosses just want to drive you to the bone. They don't care if you quit. They just want to work, get maximum volume out of you, and then get the bonuses that they're entitled to because you did such a great job, right? I've worked for organizations that just have novice supervisors who don't really know what they're doing and not a lot of oversight. I've worked for organizations that have unreliable team members, and it's so difficult to get rid of employees that they just they basically depend on their star employee because that's the only way they can get stuff done, right? So there's a lot of different reasons for this, and your goal shouldn't be to get all the way down into it unless you're leadership. If you're a supervisor or some sort, or if you have a lot of skill in what I would say influence, right? If you have a lot of emotional intelligence and you can kind of start seeking to the why, then you can explore this. But this is trying to figure out why you're overworked when other people aren't expected to carry their load. That is a very sensitive topic that can result in a lot of inflamed egos, a lot of inflamed tempers, feelings of inadequacy, and can produce problems for you. So going forward, for my top performers in agencies that treat them like they're the redheaded stepchild, I think, is the idiom that a lot of people use. Please understand, you have a particular job you were hired for. You have particular metrics that you were hired for, right? You should always strive to want to perform well. You should always strive to try to accomplish the most you can and take opportunities for growth that lead you in the direction that you want to go for your next career jump, right? Some people want to become management. Some people want to become senior technical level employees, right? Some people want to become business process analysts. Geez, I cannot speak today. Too bad I'm live, right? So in this case, what I recommend people to do is work to 80%. Work to 80% of what you can do and keep knocking it out of the park. Because most of the time, in the situations I've been, I'm able to work all the way down to 50%. When I have identified that I am being abused, I'm being exploited, by the company I'm working for. I can go all the way down to 50% of my performance and just chill, right? Every day is a chill fest. Now, why would I recommend people to do this, right? Because this seems on the surface, like especially the way I was brought up, you give your best. It doesn't matter what recognition you get. You give your best, right? Nah, that's dumb, right? That is an ideology that was built by my parents' generation and before, when companies had morals and values and actually like gave you an opportunity to grow. They wanted to see you succeed. So it was worth giving your all and impressing your supervisor, because you would eventually go. Now, a lot of management theories from the 1980s and 1990s are all about get the most that you can before they leave. And that is both fortunate and unfortunate, right? The fortunate side of it is job hopping is no longer frowned upon as much as it was in the past, especially in the primary industries that I work in, right? In fact, job stagnance, or job stagnation, or whatever the word is, my brain doesn't want to work for me, but being stagnant in your career is worse than being a job hopper in my industry, right? Because people are going to be looking at you going, well, how come you haven't gotten a new job? Are you incompetent? Are you knowledgeable? Are you, like they don't respect you as much when they see that you've been, help desk technician tier 2 for the past 10 years, right? In fact, I sat in an interview one time where they were asking me why I didn't have any current new certifications. And as you notice in a prior video that I've done, if you've watched the earlier ones, I mentioned how I had to go through a growth moment where I really had to look at my certifications and go, why do I have all these, right? What I found out after the fact was that the contract that I was working on at the time was using the heck out of my certifications, right? They had a requirement to maintain a certain number of a certain level of qualified professionals, right? And the people above me who were supposed to have these credentials didn't have them. But my credentials satiated the contractual requirement that someone on the contract, this many percent of this many employees have these. So I didn't get the pay. I just got the expectation to maintain them and keep them, right? And to get them. So in this interview, when they asked me why I hadn't gotten any new ones, it was because they felt that I wasn't capable of growing anymore and that I've reached my peak. Right, so there is some danger to the stagnation, but not so much the job hopping. I've had, in interviews, I have not been asked, because I usually stay on average between 2 and 3 years at any given role, at least, right? Between 2 and 3 is my minimum. And when I leave, people don't give me a hard time, right? So going back to the point I was making, right? Doing that 80% solution allows you to work to a comfortable level, to the point where you're not being exploited, to the point where you're not feeling that resentment of being taken advantage of, right? It allows you to still have bandwidth available. And this is what I use the bandwidth for. One thing I use the bandwidth for is I look at what special projects I would like to be a part of, what things I would like to have my fingers in so that I can put them on my employment appraisals, my annual reviews, things of that nature, to say I had a part in this. That way I can strategically position myself for my next career step, right? So I use the bandwidth for that. And I use the bandwidth for emergency situations. This is an amazing part, right? Like this is the one where it really pays off. So I am currently doing this in various capacities, and it is interesting. When the whole world melts down around me, I have answers. I can immediately step into gear. I can provide tons of solutions. I can implement those solutions. I can map out the entire plan from cradle to grave on how to make those things happen. Motivate everyone to get involved. Like, it's amazing how quick these big issues that were the end of the world for other people are now resolved almost immediately. For other people, they look at that and they're like, and they're not really sure what to think, right? Because everyone else was panicking. How are we going to do this? This is a major issue, blah, blah, blah. We're going to be in trouble, blah, 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 blah. And you just walk in like a rock star and knock it out of the park. Just done. And everyone just, huh? How'd you do that? And you could just walk right back to being you, right? I will say the appreciation in those high yield moments is really felt. Like people see that you brought that even on those organizations that, well, even within those organizations that are highly exploitative of their employees. And again, you are constantly able to not feel as resentful of just slaving yourself away, right? There have been times where I have been in roles where I'm like, it really gave me, what's wrong? Why can't I advance? Why can't I get any more? And I'm giving it my all. My metrics, and most of these instances, my metrics are substantially above my peers. Yet, they get promoted, they get pay raises. I had one job that I quit because I found out that my initial offered salary, right? Because I didn't know how to negotiate salary. No one ever taught me that. My initial offer salary was, I think it was like 35% lower than my peers. And I didn't know that because I never worked in the industry, and the range for tech jobs was just insane. Like I didn't know how to tell what I really should be looking at, right? And I had some buddies that were making lots and lots and lots, but they were working different kind of roles, but when I found out I was making 35% less, I quit and then made them hire me back because they told me they could only give me like a 5% raise. So I quit and they hired me back at, it was almost a 55% increase in salary because I was like, no, I'm not staying in this position, right? But the downside is that resentment sits with you, right? And it makes you feel burned out. Some people that I've encountered that are similar in the sense that they're able to perform exceptionally. They just sit there and it affects their self-esteem. It affects their sense of self-worth. They start feeling that they're worthless, that they're not going to be recognized, that they must be doing a bad job because they're not being recognized, and they beat themselves up over it. So in this video, this one's a little bit more geared towards my performers, but in the event that, like my primary audience for this is anyone that needs help and then my daughter, right? Or technically my daughter and then anyone else that needs help. So if y'all ever end up in that situation where you are working yourself to the bone and there's nothing to come from it, don't keep working yourself to the bone. Save your mental energy, devote it to something else that's going to matter for you, and then save that additional bandwidth in the event that you need it. Because if you actually do need it on your job, because it really is something that is rock star level performance requiring, you can walk in, knock it out of the park, and people do notice you then. So that's all I really have to say today. I hope everyone has an amazing weekend, or if you're a time traveler, whenever you're watching this video, just enjoy your week, enjoy your life, enjoy your time. Remember to prioritize your mental health and your well-being. People oftentimes don't put enough emphasis on mental health, and jobs, careers are a facet of our lives that we really drain ourselves. And I've seen a lot of really good people who allowed their jobs to get the best of them and go home and abuse those that are closest to them because they just can't handle it, right? They go home and they drink just to drown the frustration and anguish. They go home and they engage in other self-destructive behaviors, right? So prioritize your mental health. And remember, if you work for an organization that you feel isn't caring about you, doesn't want to see the best in you, and you have increased your skill set to the point where you've technically outgrown the position you're in, apply for other jobs. There are a lot of jobs out there, right? Prioritize you. Prioritize the things that you care about, right? Have a wonderful day.